The best advice that you can get, especially when you're feeling stuck in these anxious thought patterns and just overwhelmed with daily responsibilities, is from your own subconscious. And that is through interpreting your dreams. So, in the last video, I talked about the common dreams that I've received in my dream interpretation career. But here I want to give you some practical tips to start interpreting your own dreams so that you can add this to any dream you're having, because I know that they're very personal and sometimes you don't want to or feel comfortable sharing to a stranger or anyone online. And if you go to dream dictionaries or Google, it's only going to give you a biased interpretation of what the author or the other person's beliefs. So you want to find someone like me that's going to give you more reflection points so that you come up with your own interpretation, and I'm just guiding you to getting there and assisting you as needed without putting my own bias. So that's what I teach in my programs. But here in this video, I'm going to share how to start understanding the language of your subconscious. So the first thing, and you've probably heard this before, is keeping a dream journal. It might seem simple, especially if you're not remembering your dreams, but every morning have a dream journal set aside where you can write down any bits and pieces of a dream that you remember. And if you don't, just simply write, I didn't remember my dreams today. That's just going to start reprogramming your mind to retaining that information. Because oftentimes just think, how do you wake up in the morning? Are you snoozing your alarm 10 times? Are you scrolling before getting up? Or are you jolting out of bed because you are running late all the time? Every day we have so much information to absorb and retain that our subconscious and our brains are like, okay, dreams are not important because our usual habit is we are ready to go, we're rushing out, we don't have time to dwell on what happened the night before. But what happened the night before in your dreams is actually the key to understanding the root cause of anxieties and actually what is needed to reduce that cycle of anxiety and sleep and overall decreasing anxiety at a subconscious level. So keeping a dream journal, write, I didn't remember today, I'll try again tomorrow. And also notice how you felt when you woke up. What this is going to do is it's going to help you identify patterns and reoccurring themes in your dreams. I feel like every dream on its own will have an interpretation, but if you look at the collection of it, it kind of creates like a puzzle piece and a map of your own internal landscape. So keep the dream journal somewhere that you can quickly grab, because you will lose a chunk of your dream memory within the first 5 minutes of waking up. So you can just jot down a couple of things. You can voice record, you can share with a partner or a friend that you feel comfortable with. There's other ways if journaling is not your strong suit or you feel like you don't have time. Oftentimes, since I do remember a lot of dreams throughout the night and in vivid detail, I will write just like the theme, like Cliff Note version. And then when I have more time, I'll like elaborate on each one or do the voice recording. So keeping a dream journal, and do this consistently. This is like, if you go to the gym, you're not going to do it one day and expect results. You need to do it consistently. And the more you do it, the more chunks of dreams you'll remember until you start remembering like 5, 6 dreams in detail. Because we do dream a lot. You tend to just remember bits and pieces of the last dream before you woke up. So keep a dream journal. The second one is pay attention to your emotions. The first one, we talked about the emotions waking up, but here it's important to note the feelings you experienced during the dream. These are going to share valuable insights. Oftentimes, if you wake up from a really disturbing anxiety dream, your first instinct as you recollect that memory is like, whoa, what was that? Like, that was so graphic, that was disturbing. Why would I even have that dream? Maybe, like, oh, I would never do that, or feeling worried. Like, all of these emotions will come out at once as you wake up and are consciously reflecting on the dream. But it's different than when you actually had the dream. So if you were in the middle of like a nightmare or getting attacked or whatever, chased or whatever, how did you feel in the dream? Did you feel empowered? Did you feel excited? Did you feel nervous or anxious? Maybe sometimes the emotions will be the same, but notice when you're writing down, don't try to change the narrative because you think, oh, that was such a disturbing dream, I should have felt this way. Write down how you actually felt in the dream. Then the next step is analyzing the symbols and imagery. So consider the meaning of the symbols and images in your dreams. You can break them apart. What I like doing is circling or highlighting key symbols that seemed to have a big focus of the dream. So on a quick little example to see if this helps, years ago, like ages ago, I had a dream where I was in a party and somebody bought ice, and there was more to the dream, like we were getting ready for a party, whatever. That didn't seem like such a big event. But the next night I had a dream where I was so mad that somebody had bought ice, or something related to ice, where I thought, oh, okay, ice here is the symbol. And then I interpreted it in that route. So circle whatever symbols seem to pop up, and any symbols, right? There can't be too many, just all of them, and start analyzing them. What do they represent in your waking life? I like looking at both the symbolic representation and the literal one. For example, if in your dream a chair was knocked out, what is a literal chair, right? It's something that helps you sit firmly, it's steady, it's holding you, right? So you can see it that way if it's an object, and you can also look at the symbolic representation. If you're having trouble with this, a good way to find the meaning behind it is, how would you describe that symbol or object to a child or someone who is like foreign from here and doesn't really know what that word is? How would you describe it? Using other words than the actual object name, and that's going to help you find that symbolic representation. So those are some tips for that. And once you see them all laid out, I also like looking at polarities. So if there's something hot or cold in the dream, if something was tall, short, noticing those polarities, and also related symbols. Sometimes you can see different symbols that relate to the same thing of feeling grounded and firm, but in a different vibe, because your subconscious is just trying to share with the images it's seen and things it's experienced how you were feeling in the situation. Then you want to connect it to a personal experience. So reflect back on a recent event or challenge that may be linked to this dream as you're rereading it through the lens of the symbols that you interpreted. And then finally, if you're really finding it hard to put two and two together, you can consider discussing it with a professional, such as myself, a dream interpreter, or a trusted friend or family member that you can just share the dream and what you've found so far. And maybe sometimes something that they'll say might trigger or activate like a thought of like, oh, I didn't see it from this perspective, as you're sharing it with them. Even if they don't say anything, you just sharing the dream, and maybe they ask questions if they're not really in tune with dream interpretation. If they just ask questions about the dream, like, oh, were you like, on a mountain sky, or like describe this a little bit better, that can bring up more memories and more aha moments. So you can test those steps out for yourself. In my next video, I'm going to share how to use your dream work to reduce anxiety at a subconscious level. And I also have a free dream guide for anxious people that's going to elaborate more on dream examples of their meaning, reflection points, and what you can do with those dreams to not only interpret them, because that's not the end goal here. It's what are you going to do with that message? You had the dream for a reason. It's trying to tell you something valuable. It's now time to take action. So you want to turn these insights into action. You're just not going to leave it there, living in your dream journal, never to be seen again. You can challenge the negative thoughts, see what the dream was about, and if it has a kind of negative ending or like no closure, try to see how you can challenge it with a positive affirmation and ways that it can help build and manage your anxiety, such as using relaxing techniques, because especially once you're interpreting dreams that have more of a nightmare flair to it, it can bring up some thoughts as you are interpreting them. So really supporting yourself with coping mechanisms like relaxing techniques, exercise is going to help burn out the mental chatter, and journaling to help you see in a reflective point through the lens of what you just interpreted, what solutions can you work out? And I like doing this before bed as well, because you can actually ask your subconscious for, you're kind of like implanting a question as you interpret it, and you have a question of like, okay, if this is what I'm working through, what can I do? What is the next step? And the next dream you have, as you interpret it, depending on the feelings and the vibe of it, can get you closer to that solution, all from yourself, all being advised from your own subconscious mind. And you want to set realistic goals here, breaking down any overwhelming task into smaller, manageable steps, depending what those problem-solving dreams later on tell you. So I share more about that 3-step process to reducing anxiety in my free dream guide, and I will make a video on that in the next video. So let me know how this worked for you, and I can't wait to hear your dreams. I'll see you in the next video.